Mistakes have been made and you've drilled through an electrical cable. So I know what you're thinking, how am I gonna fix this mess? Well, maybe it doesn't have to be as scary as you think. And in this simple guide, I'm gonna show you an easy way to fix a drilled or cut through electrical cable. And by the time you've finished watching this video, I guarantee you that any of you will be able to fix this yourself. So before we go investigating what we've drilled through, what we want to do is go to the consumer unit and actually make sure that this circuit is isolated so that we're safe to work on it. To do that, identify the circuit you're working on and turn off the MCB for that circuit. Now make sure you use a lockout kit, that way you can be sure that nobody can come along and turn that circuit back on whilst you're working on it. So we've got the circuit isolated now, there's no power coming to this cable, and we're safe to work on the circuit. Guys, let me start by saying if you're not confident or competent in basic electrical work, then do give an electrician a call. But if you are, let's crack on with the video and get the job done. So the first thing we need to do to make this repair is make a hole in the plasterboard. This is a dot and dab wall, and we have the luxury of using a multi-tool to cut a hole in the plasterboard. You could just use a chisel or whatever you've got at hand. So let's cut ourselves a little hole out initially so that we can investigate how bad the damage is to the cable. Now make sure that you don't over penetrate, because we need to make sure that we don't damage any more of that cable. So let's just break this bit of plasterboard away. You can use whatever's to hand really. And you can see here, there we go, and you can see we've got some oval conduit in here which our cable runs in, and the drill bit has gone smack bang through it and through the wire inside. So now we're going to make the hole a little bit bigger, because access is everything. If we can't get to the cable, we've got no chance of repairing it, or if we can, replacing it. So at this point, if you can, replace the cable. It's always better to pull that cable out and put a new cable in if we possibly can. But as a DIYer, that isn't always an option. So I'm going to show you how to repair the cable. Now to make this repair, we're going to use the Hager J803 junction box. It's a maintenance-free junction box. Now it's important that we use a maintenance-free junction box like this, because we're going to be covering all this back up again. So we can't have something in there that needs to be accessed or maintained in the future. They have to have screwless terminals, and they have to have the cable clamps to secure the cables into the box. I'll put a link in the description where you can grab yourself one of these, because I think they're the best box for this type of repair. So I'd suggest that what we do now is line the center of the box up with where our cable has been drilled, and then just draw roughly around the box. So now we'll dig out or cut out roughly around that mark. You can use whatever you like, and it doesn't need to be pretty, because we're going to make more mess yet. Just be careful that we don't damage the cable any further. So you might be lucky. You might now have full access to your cable, and you can move on to making the repair, which we'll get to in a moment. For me, I need to open up this piece of conduit here, because we can't make the repair with the conduit in place. So we're going to open that up now. If we just go cutting straight in there with a knife, which we could do, the odds are we're going to hit the cable. So I would recommend opening this up gradually with some snips first of all. We'll just gradually work our way in there until we can see a bit better. Right, so we'll cut the cable right on the hole that's been drilled. It's very important that we do that, because if we cut it somewhere else, guess what? We're not going to have enough cable. Grab a pair of side cutters and just snip it. No temporarily, just move it out of the way. Now we can go ahead and just cut out the rest of the conduit. We're just going to open this up a little bit more to give ourselves a bit of wiggle room when it comes to getting the cables in the box. So I'd advise what you do now is just take out as much of the block or brick as is necessary to sink the box in the wall. So you can see I use my multi-tool to mark out and cut out the depth of the material that I want to remove, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. If not, you'll need to use a hammer and chisel, which I'm now going to use just to remove this material. You can see how easy the block work will fall away. If it's brick, it's going to be a lot harder. So you can see we now have enough depth for the box to be sunk back into the hole that we've made. So now I'm going to show you how to make the electrical repair. Before I do that, if the video is helping you out, do hit the like button, because that helps the video to reach more people on YouTube. And if you're not a subscriber already, hit the subscribe button, because you don't want to miss out on all the videos that I've got to come. So we're going to wire the cable into the terminals, and you can see we are just going to have enough. And now you can see why it's important that we cut the cable where the hole was drilled, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough to wire it into the box. So we're now going to strip these cables back, and we only want to remove the grey outer sheath down to the cable clamps. We don't want to go any further. We need to keep the sheath on just here, and we'll remove it somewhere here. Same with the top bit. We want to leave the grey insulation on where the cable clamp is and remove it probably somewhere there. So we'll get the automatic wire strippers in there. I recommend these highly for DIYers. There's a link to them in the description. Hopefully you can sort of see. And just strip back the cable. And you can now see the cores inside. Tell you what, I'm going to turn this box around, because that makes it easier to record. So now we'll strip the conductors back. Start off by stripping the live back. Take the insulation off that one, that's the brown wire, and the neutral, which is the blue wire, we will take the insulation off that one as well. What we'll do now is stick some earth sleeving on the earth wire, or CPC, whatever you want to call it, because if you don't call it a CPC, people get all crazy in the comments. So let's stick some earth sleeving on those. We are going to remove the box again. At this point, bend the cables back out of the way, and using the tracer pencil, which is perfect for this job, just make a mark through the back of the box, because ideally we want to fix the box in place. So we're going to drill, ironically, a couple of holes and put a couple of plugs in just to hold the box in place. Just pop a little wall plug in there as well. So we've got the plugs in. We're now going to put the box back in, and then using a couple of screws we'll just fix the box in place. Don't over tighten these screws, because it's only thin plastic, and if you do, you'll pull the box back too far and you will crack the plastic. So we've got the wire stripped back. Now what we're going to do is remove the cable clamps, because we need to use them on a maintenance free junction box. Remove that cutout. So if we look under here, you can see that we have our live terminal on the right hand side here. We have the CPC, or earth, in the middle, and we have the neutral on the left hand side. So to make it easier for ourselves, we'll put the live in there first. Just give that a push. You can see that's in there. Give it a little tug just to make sure it's located properly. Now the CPC, or earth, whatever you want to call it, pop that in the middle terminal. Again, give it a tug to make sure it's connected properly. And now, last of all, the blue wire, which is the neutral, we'll pop that in the end terminal just here. Again, just check it's in properly. And now we'll do the same with the top cable, and it can be fiddly if you don't have a lot of movement on the cable. So we'll push the brown wire in there first. That's in there. Now we're going to put the CPC in the middle. Again, it's fiddly because we don't have a huge amount of flexibility with the cable, just because of the nature of obviously what we're doing here. And then our neutral last of all. So the box is in, it's fixed in place, and the cables are wired into the terminals. If you do need to unwire them, they are push fits, and you can push the little plungers to take the wires back out. Once you're confident that all of the wires are firmly in each terminal, we can go ahead and we can do up those cable clamps. It's important that we do that on maintenance-free junction boxes. So let's do that now. Again, don't over tighten these, because you'll just crack the plastic if you do. And there we go, both cable clamps are done up. The wires are all in, everything's in. And we can now just do the cover up on the box. Now I've put the circuit back on, I've given it a test and I know that the cable's fixed. So I can now go and fill the hole that we've made in the wall. Then I'm going to sand it down and I'm going to give it a lick of paint. If this video's helped you out, click on one of these because they're probably going to help you out as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and don't drill any more holes through cables. You'll save yourself a lot of work.